And hello there. Welcome to Justice Serve TV. Michael Bryant here. Hey, I understand in Lawrence, Massachusetts today, an alien sighting.
Justice, where are you? Michael and Linda are here.
Love you, Linda.
Where is justice? Will we ever find justice?
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing
Will
"Oh
we
Happy
know
Day."
justice when we see it? To be and down me, I lead the way. Hoping justice will win the day. Listener clues, finding justice where we can. Join us now, we're on the run. Justice is waiting, we'll see it done.
All right. So anyway, there was a sighting. Yeah. Did you see that? I was kind of surprised that Justin the alien appeared as early in the process as he did. But if you think about it, we finished the day with Patrick Noonan, who's really the he said of the he said, she said. I mean, how much more does the prosecution really have? I don't think they have very much. So to see the alien and see him, robotic is the best word I can think of. Robotic. I don't know what else to say about what he had to say, except I think he's a little twisted. And I wish Tim Bradel had taken a little more time with the text messages. Remember, it was the Commonwealth that made the motion in limine to bring in this text exchange between the alien and Kelsey. And they briefly got into it as they were setting up the day of the event, right? But Tim Bradel did nothing with that. Because if you look at those text messages, as we did in some detail, they really leave you walking away with she was very reasonable, not the character he portrayed in the affidavit. She's going to hurt herself or the baby or me. They're going to leave the country. She talks about going up to New Hampshire, where her dad lives, for one night. And 2 lines before she signs off in the text, it's "I love you." So anyway, I was hoping maybe we would have gotten into those into some greater detail, but hey, I'm not running the show. So he was on and off the stand. There was a moment when he was testifying about what happened after the shots rang out, and we saw that on the video. I had asked earlier today during the lunch show whether I was seeing something. It looked to me like shots ring out. He drops his big old suitcase, leaves it behind. He doesn't go up the stairs and out that way to the house. He goes out the side door, that goes directly to the yard from the basement. Quick exit. And then we see him whoop, 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 do his Three Stooges slip and fall as he exits. I thought he never goes in the house to see if somebody's hurt, to see if Kelsey's hurt, to see if the mother of his child is injured somehow, could use his help. He has that EMT thing. There was nobody closer that has emergency medical training than him. And I guess some of the cops in there might have, but that's, he's a fireman. He testified that they spend time on and off EMT duty, but he didn't even give it a thought, apparently. Now, you're thinking, well, he was probably running to make sure, his son was okay. But if you listen to his testimony, it was more like running to see if his sister was okay. And then we also heard on cross that when he was there on the 29th, the day before the incident, to pick up some guns, he was there 30 minutes, and he ultimately admitted to Tim Bradel that Kelsey had to say, do you want to hold your son while you're here? And he held him for less than a minute, held him for like 30 seconds. He admitted, yes, that was true, but I think he actually screwed up his interpretation of the question, because the way Tim asked it, it was more like combined with, you were there for 30 minutes to get your guns, and you held the baby for 30 seconds or a minute, right? And he said, right. But I think he was saying right to how long he'd been there and getting the guns. I don't think he would be so quick to admit that he was basically giving his son the short shrift for the time that he was there. It was more important to get the guns and to see his little boy. Nonetheless, it didn't come off so well. I just think there could have been a whole bunch more fun to be had with the alien. And somebody should keep track. Maybe it should be a drinking game. This is just water. Every time we hear somebody say the alien, it's bottoms up. Gubitosi, I'm sorry, Gubitosi, he's good for at least one or two a day. But when, I don't know if anybody saw this, heard this, maybe I'll run part of it. I've got some of the trial from today queued up. When I first heard Lieutenant Daly mention seeing Justin on the 30th, the day they got the restraining order, it was like that was his name, Justin the Alien. Justin the Alien. And he said it, I don't know how many more times. Weird. Just plain weird. Okay, so what are we going to do today? Got a couple of different things happening. We're going to have a special guest. I guarantee you will know his name from his activities in tons of cases. But he has made a trek from his homeland to here in Lawrence, Massachusetts to see this trial, as have a number of other, what are we called? Content creators, streamers, whatever they are, that had made the trek to the weirdest courtroom, I don't know, this side of Mayberry. When I heard this morning, no real seating for the media, and I'm thinking, oh, well, we should be privileged. No, I just think it's something. There, every time I got up there, because I did a quick report before we started, I got up there like 5 till 9. Every seat taken. Bam. Every one of the seats taken. Okay. And so I'm thinking, well, that's interesting. And stood around for a while, asked the bailiff. The bailiff asked the judge, can we sit in the jury box? No, nobody's going to be able to sit there. So those are 12 angry seats just sitting, staring at me. But can't use those because you're too close to the witness, is what the judge has said. I go, okay, fine. So the seating was chock full, and the judge said, you can just stand. You guys just stand. And then if somebody leaves, feel free to take their spot. All right. It's kind of weird, but all right. Most courts, it's, you sit in your place with shiny smiley face and don't leave and don't move and don't get out of your spot during the course of the trial. This was more free flowing. People didn't want to leave because the bailiff warned, we ain't keeping your seat for you. So pretty steady group there, at least for the first day. But to allow standing room was weird. And so the bailiff, who I was giving a hard time to initially, brought me a chair. I settled in, and I was right by the judge's door. In fact, I've got so many of these clips. I know I've complained before about the two screen solution, which I don't have when I'm on the road. I have just the single screen solution. So let me see if I can bring this up. I think I can probably find it here. I've got faith in myself, I think. Let's see. There's trial day 1. Yeah, let's try this. Let's try this, shall we? Jumping back and forth. Do this. There we go. Look at that. Oh, yeah, and hit the like and subscribe and share and do all those other things. Okay, now I have to go back into that video and start it. So stand by. Yeah, it's working. Now, who's that ne'er-do-well leaning against the wall? Like a 12-year-old who can't take his eyes off his phone. So that's the judge's door. The judge comes out that door, as you probably noticed today. And so that was my standing room only spot. Ultimately, not the bailiff that just walked by. He's been cool at every hearing. It's a new guy that I hadn't seen before. So he ultimately brings the chair, and I get to have a seat. So we're going to move on from something more exciting. Hold on just a second. Let's see if I can get something. Yeah, okay, there's the judge. Okay, at some point, I definitely want to get into a little bit of the alien and a little bit of Detective Daly. It's Daly and the alien. Because I think they're both very interesting characters. Okay, but before we do that, the seating. Back to the seating issue. Let me see if I can get this out of my way now. Hold on. Stand by. Yeah, so seating. The judge says, I have a sequestration order in place. Any witnesses shouldn't be in here. But why does he even say that? Because Tim Bradle mentioned it. Tim Bradle's looking around. Judge, there are witnesses in here. And the judge is like, but I had an order for the witnesses not to be here. Well, yeah, of course. Who would violate that order? So 4 people get up and head out. Okay. So there were 3 women, 1 man. I should have recognized the one guy, and I may ask for your help. On this, because I have some interesting video that my fellow plaintiff in the case against Massachusetts State Police, Tom DeRozier. He was outside after a couple of these witnesses left the courtroom and left the courthouse. Remember the admonition, again, thrown in after the fact. The judge had said, hey, everybody, don't listen to testimony. Don't talk to anybody. Don't talk to anybody about your testimony or what's happening here in court. But he never said, don't watch or listen to social media. He mentioned after a break, oh, by the way, I forgot. So that was in place. No social media. Don't be listening to it. There's the court was streaming it audio only. Don't listen to any of that. Obviously, what good does it do to sequester a witness when they just walk out the door and start watching it on TV or listening to the audio? Of course, makes no sense. So let me see if I can find yet another piece of video. And I'm doing this because I want to compare this person with somebody I saw in the courtroom and outside the courtroom today. Let's see. I don't even know if we actually need the audio because I'm sure I'm going to screw that up. But
So
let's see the video.
Taking her out?
Nope, that's not the right one. Stand by. That one's one I'm getting close to, though. That's the one we're going to compare against this other one that I hope to have for you here. Let's see. Because I can't tell. The image is not the best. It's a little hazy schmazy out there. So let me see. I got to stop that screen. I got to do this. Bear with me as I play. Okay, yeah, here we go. Okay, so who's that? Oh wait, whoops! I can't ask you till you can see it. That would make no sense. Who's that? Okay, can you tell? This was the video I shot when Justin the Alien was first appearing in family and probate court, and he's with this guy. That's his dad. Okay, that I can confirm. I don't know if I can make it any larger or not. Let's see. No, but I can play some of it, I think. Yeah, what was that again? Do you expect you're going to be successful in getting the money from Kelsey's house? Let's see. Sir, may I ask you a quick question about today?
No comment, please.
Do you expect you're going to be successful in getting the money from Kelsey's house? Okay, so that was obviously the alien and his daddy. And so you got a good idea that got a picture of that guy? Okay, now.
Okay.
Oh. Okay, you see that? Let me back that up for you. After the four people left the courthouse, the courtroom, because they were witnesses, two of them left and went out front. Here's two of them. Thanks to Tom. Watch them. First of all, take a look at the guy. Confirm for me that it is Justin the Alien's dad, based on what I just showed you before. And I don't know who the woman is. It's not Courtney. I'll tell you that. Courtney testified, and she is different looking. But you take a look.
Out? Okay.
Tell me what you got here. Hold on. Let me see if I can get rid of this. We don't need the audio there. Let's do that. Okay. Can you see what are they doing? Can you tell? What it looks like they're listening to something. What do you think it might be? Could it be the trial that they've just been excused from? Is that possible? I can't confirm because maybe they're just talking to friends on the phone. But I'll run that back again. You can see the action is sort of not what you do when you call somebody. You know, that's more like this. Hey, how's it going? This is like, I'm listening. I believe that is Justin's dad. I just don't know who that is. Anybody wants to tell me, feel free. Just seems to me that they might have been trying to listen to what was happening on the phone. I mean, on their phone, listening to what's going on at the trial. Not a good idea. So any other witnesses that have been sequestered, don't do that. Don't do that. It taints your testimony, taints the system. And as I've said before, it's all on the justice, the honor system, which means if you want to screw around with the system, you certainly can, right? Okay. So anyway, where was I? I was going to get back to, I know what it was. In court this morning, she ran into me, Julie Hess, who is the attorney for Kelsey Fitzsimmons in the family law matter, right? She came over, said hi. We had met briefly at the hearing, which seems like a lifetime ago. And it was very quick. It was on the courthouse steps, literally, as they were wrapping up for the day. And certainly I'm not expecting her to remember me. I remembered her. So she comes over, says, "Oh, hi. I just want to say that I saw your analysis of my motion." Now we're talking about the motion to be heard on April 2nd, which includes that outrageous affidavit from Kelsey Fitzsimmons talking about the aliens' habits, including snorting Adderall, basic stuff. All of this may or may not impact his ability to have visitation or custody. So she just came over to say, "Hey, I appreciate you did." I said, how do we do? She said, "Oh, it was actually pretty good." So with that entree, I thought I would ask her after court, "Hey, any chance you can pop on? Just a couple of minutes, see what's happening." And she said she was jammed tonight and couldn't do it. I'm looking for an email now, and couldn't do it. Of course, if I had $1 for every woman that's told me that. So she said, "You can send me some questions." So I sent her a couple of questions. Okay. And before I tell you the questions, she says, "Given the judge's admonition today, I want to be careful here. I also don't want to show our cards too much for the upcoming hearings." So what did I ask that would lead her to say that? Well, let me just scroll the other direction and I'll tell you. And then she did provide some information, which I find interesting and helpful, and I appreciate it. Okay, where's my questions? Where are they? There we go. Let's see. Two questions. Two questions. Here we go. Number one, did you learn anything from Justin the Alien today that will help you at the April 2nd hearing? Okay, first question. Second question, what does a best case scenario look like at and after the April 2nd hearing in family and probate court? Okay, so with those two in mind, let me zoom back up to her answers. Okay, let's go right there. I will say I heard quite a bit today that will help us, and not just from Justin. The April 2nd hearing will be moved for scheduling reasons. I did not know that. I'm just reading this cold. Damn it. For our upcoming family court hearing, clearly a best case scenario looks like immediate parenting time back to Kelsey, but that presumes no hurdles, no safety mechanisms that the family court will always employ, and that the court believes everything we have to say and nothing Justin's counsel has to say, which will never happen. It also presumes the outcome of the currently pending criminal action. You read our motion, yes, and best case scenario would be that we get everything requested there. However, we are not so naive to think it's a slam dunk. It's not, to a court of law, that is. So I believe truly a best case scenario to be at this point that the court hears our case with open ears, understands the law as applied to the facts we have, and applies that law to Kelsey to see her son again and to share in the decisions made for him, including, get ready for this, securing a drug and alcohol-free safe space when the child is parented. So who could she be talking about? I have no idea. Anyway, so I appreciate Julie reaching out to answer those questions. That's very insightful. I'm not sure. I'm glad maybe the April 2nd hearing won't be pushed too far. That I feel it's unfortunate for Kelsey, to keep seeing that can kicked down the road. But as long as it's not too far down the road, it will provide some kind of breathing room between whatever happens in this criminal trial and what's to come in the family trial. So, okay, let me see if I've got, do I have any questions here that I haven't had a chance to get to? I see them fly by, and I'm horrible. I know. Joy Schmehar, thank you for being here and helping out today. Also, of course, Missy Mayhem, Sheila Duffy, appreciate it. Linda Kenny Bodden, I see she's hovering. In fact, she sent me something. What was it? I don't have time to do a rip and read, but she sent me something about a quadruple amputee winning a cornhole game. No, it was a quadruple amputee charged with some sort of murder. It was for, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Anyway, Dana Town, Michael, did you hear the went to raise her arm from Noonan? What do you think? Well, I don't think anything he had to say was all that helpful for his cause. In fact, it looked to me like he was, between his testimony and the testimony of Lieutenant Daly, it looked like, I think circling the wagons is what Attorney Bradel has described it as. It's a lot of after the fact alibying and coming up with a story that they think makes sense to get them off the hook. So the whole thing, what really caught my attention with the testimony of Noonan when he was talking step by step about how things played out. He talked about her getting up, and we showed the bedroom picture, and she was like a moving target. That's what he described. She was moving from this point in the room to the other. I'm thinking that makes no sense. Why would that happen? And she's holding her gun pointed at him, but she's trying to be evasive at the same time. And that didn't make a lot of sense to me. And then even when Noonan said, I wrote this down as he said it, don't do it, don't do it. The way he said it, if I get a chance, I'll get to that testimony. I'm not sure I can pinpoint it. But the way he said it sounded more like somebody you're trying to prevent from hurting themselves, not from hurting me. Like, don't do it. It was like, don't do it. Don't do it. You know what I mean? It's a very subtle difference. But in his testimony, that's how it sounded. Don't do it. Not don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. I don't know if the judge picks up on that kind of stuff or not, but it seemed to me to mean something. Then he described how he kind of used the door frame, which at some point in the telling was a door that she hid behind, but he used it to kind of prop himself up and steady himself for the shots that he took. First one goes into the air conditioner, and I'd have to look at that picture again to see, if it's a typical air conditioner, it's either in the window or it's stuck through the wall, but it's going to be, from waist to eyeball height probably. Anyway, so that messed him up. I guess the drama of the scene, and so he has to squeeze off a second shot. I still think the way in which that unfolded was just not realistic. It just wasn't. What does bother me, it's been bothering me all day. It's bothered me from the very beginning. The testimony is that Kelsey said the guns are in the basement. Why would you do that? Why? I know that Tim Bradle offered, I can't wait to hear it from Kelsey. It's got to be more solid than what I heard Bradle say. She didn't want to muddy up the whole process by making a gun not in a safe. Remember, all the guns in the house should have been in a safe. We know the day before that the alien was there pulling his guns out, maybe pulling Kelsey's out. He said no, but maybe he was going to take his granddad's safe home. Remember that? But he never could, probably because the freaking thing's heavy. So why? I mean, why would you say the guns are in the basement? Because you know that they're not, and that it might be an issue, not because you need to get one to shoot somebody else or yourself, but just because I haven't gotten around to relocating them into a safe place because the alien took them out and put them on the bed yesterday. And I put them in the closet. That makes some sense, but I need to hear a better explanation, because otherwise it just sounds like a bald-faced lie. And it does not help her position in any way. Right. Okay. So let's move on to my surprise guest. Let's do that. And I feel like we should have some dating game music here. This guy from his work and his digging. He's a digger. So we used to say when we were producing different shows, we need a digger. We need a digger. That's somebody that's buried in the court files all the time, popping up with documents. Now, Kyle Sharkey does that as well. But so does this guy. That's Kentucky Maverick Joe. Joe, how are you? Can you hear me?
I'm doing real good. Can you hear me?
I sure can. You're one of many that has taken the trip from the homeland. You're in Kentucky, I'm guessing, from Kentucky Maverick, and you drove up here.
I sure did.
What was it about this case that got you to get in the car and drive?
Well, I'm not really a true crime type person, but I am a justice type person. I just felt like not much justice happening in Massachusetts in recent years, and felt that way about Kelsey in particular.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing you followed Karen Reed.
I did.
And, that certainly helped that disgust, and then you see it happening here. How about Sandra Birchmore? Are you following that case?
I am following it somewhat, yes.
Okay, all right. I mean, there's a lot. Luckily, this one will be long settled, we hope, by the time that one kicks off in October. So, observations. You're in the courtroom. What are your thoughts?
The first observation came from Bradel's opening when he said, "Judge, you're going to hear from Kelsey."
Oh yeah, yeah. You'll hear her. How did he phrase it? She'll tell you. She'll tell you.
Mhm. She'll tell
Yeah.
you. Wasn't expecting that at that point of the trial. I thought she'd
Yeah.
probably testify, but no, I didn't expect it to come out in an opening.
He's been coy about it, as he should be. Clearly, they've had a lot of discussion since we last pestered him on that question, and he wasn't going to commit, even if they knew back then. But if you're telling the court, and I was a little surprised they had traditional opening statements. You don't always see that when it's a bench trial. But for him to tell the court something that important, that early on, he gets. I mean, it's a he said, she said case. How do we not hear from Kelsey? Unless the prosecution's case is just so weak, you don't need her. But I think that's a risky gamble. So what do you think about the he said part of the he said, she said today, Patrick Noonan?
It's what I expected, nothing more. I have a lot of problems with his testimony. The inconsistency in the testimony itself. The testimony I probably liked of the two officers the most was the one that came from Lieutenant Daly.
Okay,
And
how
then,
so?
when he said that Kelsey said to him, "I'm sorry," something along the lines of, I don't want to live. That plays right against the prosecution case.
Yeah,
It came straight from their first witness.
yeah, if you're suicidal, that's the kind of stuff you say.
And then, of course, he didn't remember saying the gun was under the legs to begin with. So
Let's talk about that, because I've been trying to, I'm no biomechanical engineer, but it seems to me it's not all that dispositive whether it's found under the leg, by the leg. The contradiction is a different story. How do you get that wrong? The truth is always the same. Making stuff up is where you get those variations. But there's a suggestion that, hey, if it fell by her leg, it's more likely she was using it on herself. I think that's the analysis. If it fell under her leg, that just physically couldn't happen if she was holding the gun in a way to shoot at somebody. I don't know. I haven't dropped a lot of guns, but they're not like a rubber ball. It's not going to get a true bounce. It could bounce bing, bang, bong off any angle, and it could bounce in a way that hits the floor and comes back toward her. What do you make of the gun position issue?
I'm unsure about it, but I can see the contradiction being a major problem.
Yeah, why would somebody make
the story keeps changing?
Why would you do that other than laziness? Why would you? What? How does that help your story? If your story is pointed the gun at me, I changed it from under the leg to beside the leg.
Yeah, she lunged behind a door, but now she lunged behind the door frame.
Yeah, there's no door.
Basically, he hit himself behind the door. And did I hear it right about the when he said, "Kelsey, don't do it, that she had already pointed the thing and pulled the trigger? And then after that is when he finally said, "Kelsey, don't do it." What officer hadn't already pulled their gun and fired?
That's true. And as kind of a devil's advocate, I said, okay, if you're out on the street, you don't know the people involved, your life is threatened, I don't think you utter a word. You just start shooting, right? But in this setting, they know one another. Although he said on the stand, he felt like, yeah, I knew her, but not very well. And we'd heard all of this bonding BS about, they both responded to that mother-child murder-suicide. He made it sound like, yeah, they were like, acquaintances, barely.
Basically, you just barely knew her.
Yeah, so I thought that was odd as an aside.
And after going through that shooting spell they went with in that suicide event, that would bond people anyway.
You would think, but the way he talked about her was kind of dismissive. I just thought that was bizarre. Anyway, so if you know somebody, even to some degree, like Joe, if you were in the room and you start moving a gun around, my first thought is not going to be to shoot you. It might be to get you to just be careful, don't do that. I think there's a better likelihood, knowing her, that he would direct something to her, even if he thought she's pointing at him, just because of that relationship. It's not, we're not on the mean streets of Lawrence. We're in a situation where we know one another. Like, don't do that. So I give him a little bit of credit that that's possible. But how did you hear, as I mentioned earlier, how he said, Kelsey, don't do it? It sounded more pleading, like you'd hear if you're being talked out of doing it to yourself.
And question, from the testimony you heard today, where did she go for that gun?
I don't know.
I got the impression it came from somewhere closer to the bed.
That
really puts the door frame in problems.
Well, yeah, and if you think about it, Attorney Bradel tried to get the alien to say that he put the guns on the bed from the safe, but he would never go there. I believe, what do you think of this theory? That she kept saying the guns were in the basement because she knew that she shouldn't have them unsecured. They were unsecured because the alien was there the day before and unsecured them, and she hadn't, gotten around to do much more than put them back in the closet. Or I don't think they were laying on the bed. I do not think they were laying on the bed. That'd be just way too casual. But they weren't in a safe, so she had to say they were somewhere else.
I kind of took what Bradel's argument a little bit different. I thought he was saying she had already decided she was going to take her life at that point and didn't want them to find the guns, and basically was trying to get them out of the bedroom so that she could take her life by herself. That was the argument I heard coming from Bradel.
Yeah, he definitely was playing on that, and that Houston left, and then the next step was to get Noonan to go, and he'd kind of made a step in that direction, but not totally out of her sight, I guess. That to me means you have to believe that everything's perfect, everything's fine when she answers the door, and those guys come in, and in the 5, 6, 7 minutes, 10 minutes, she has switched from everything's fine to I have to end my life. And the gun's already upstairs from what, the day before? The timing makes no sense to me.
Well, as they pointed out today, the officers did not tell them what they were there for when they came through that front door.
No, I didn't like that either. And I don't know if that's normal process or not, because they're afraid to get the door slammed in their faces.
So I can see the mood changing in the next room when she got the paper.
Oh, yeah, I could too. But at that point, the gun or guns, they're wherever they already were. They were there already. She didn't have any time to relocate them, like, I'll put it now in the bedroom where I can get to it because I'm going to kill myself. I got real problems with the guns in the basement. I just don't know the purpose. I don't know.
And I have a real problem with the 2 shots from 7 feet.
Yeah, in fact, on the stand today, he said she was about 3 feet away. Then in the picture, he described her being near the foot of the bed. So maybe that was 6 or 7. I think Bradel said 3 to 7 feet. Yeah, this guy, is he the shakiest gun in the West? Is he Don Knotts? Old reference, folks. Where he can't even, hit a target.
He's not the SWAT team leader I want.
Yeah. So again, like maybe it's because he's so hesitant to hurt this person who at least I thought was his friend, now is apparently an acquaintance. And so he's, it's a subconscious warning shot. I don't know. Did you see in the picture where the air conditioner is? The guy hit?
I could not see it from where I was sitting.
The mortally wounded air conditioner. They showed that picture, and I can't really remember where it was, but I'm putting it on the wall behind her. That makes sense. I just don't remember what height it was. So,
did they actually recover the bullet?
What's that?
Did they actually recover the bullet from it?
I don't know. Haven't heard anything, and I fully expect there will not be a ballistics expert because it's not really a big deal. Curiosity, yes, but not like it's going to be a question about somebody shooting from the grassy knoll. I mean, we know who shot the 2 bullets, right? So, what else did you see there today?
Well, I thought Courtney was a very interesting witness.
Oh my gosh, I was scared for her. I was also scared for the court reporter because between her and the questioning, it was so fast, but also kind of like her brother, robotic.
Hers had been planned for sure and practiced, because that's how it just came right off the tip of her tongue. But the fact that she would deny or say that somebody let her in when the video clearly shows they didn't, really puts her testimony in question.
Very liberal interpretation of somebody letting her in. And then she tried to cover it by saying, well, in the past, we would just walk in. It's like that wasn't really the front door. That was just kind of the porch. And then the front door is off of the porch. And that's where you are asked in
Mhm.
or not. So, you know, that didn't go well. And I know that Tim Bradle didn't belabor her. Just, I mean, that the video says all you need to say, and he left it there for the judge to figure out. Remember, she's the one who took the baby. I mean, she was there, and she was
Mhm.
also the one that was on the phone with Justin when he's trying to set up, you know, some of his access and not getting, not tipping off Kelsey about that, right? The restraining order. This girl took charge of her brother's situation. And she seemed to be in many ways spearheading it. And when you see her go to that house and take that baby and take charge and run through the neighborhood, apparently, when she heard the shots, which I thought was weird. I don't know who's leading whom.
You know, she had 3 people she could have given that baby to. She chose Newman, the one that says she barely knows her.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit.
No. And I want to hear from her, you know, her description of their relationship. Is it as kind of superficial as his, or, you know, because we've not, you know, granted, we've only heard reports. Now we're hearing it from one of the horse's mouths.
I'm wondering if that's why the text messages didn't come in today under Justin. And I'm wondering if Kelsey will bring them in. Because in those, you get that state of mind of Justin.
Yeah, and it maybe it's more impactful through her. I think because he brought them up, I would have had to get in there with at least one zinger, just one. You know, maybe how she says "I love you" at the end, or maybe how she says she was only going to New Hampshire for one night, something. You know, because he used that text messaging in part to set up the affidavit, and I think it would have been nice to just kind of knock one of those pins out from under the guy. So what do you expect to see tomorrow?
I think tomorrow will be very interesting on cross. I was disappointed we didn't get to see it today.
I was, you know, the judge is interesting scheduling wise. You know, he's kind of got his own thing, but he looked at the clock. It was 20 till 4 and decided, you know, let's just call it, because he knew that Tim Bradle was going to have more than 20 minutes.
I can say it's cross will take a little while, I think.
Yeah. Well, there's no more important witness other than Kelsey herself. But I mean, this is the he said of the he said, she said. I
saw nothing today that takes away anything from the he said, she said. And as long as that's there, where's this case going? Except out.
Yep, you got to get beyond the that whole reasonable doubt thing. Here's a good question from Rasta Love. Can the judge dismiss this now if he wanted? No, I mean he could, but it'd be an issue. But he could wait till the end of the prosecution's case and then direct a verdict for the defense.
Now, will Bradle ask for it to be dismissed?
He will. He'll ask for a directed verdict or dismissal, either one, just because you need to. It's routine. It's almost malpractice not to. So he will, and in all likelihood, denied. So, in all likelihood, yeah. So, well, hopefully Noonan will entertain us tomorrow. I'm sure there's many things.
Can you imagine what this would have been like if McCarthy had been sitting on that bench?
Hold on. Yeah, it would have been disgusting, and you might have seen a directed verdict for the plaintiff. I mean, for the prosecution, even before the defense said a word.
I might.
She doesn't worry about the law. You what?
I might have needed bail money if she'd been on the bench today.
Now, don't do that. Don't do that. So, what do you think about the courtroom process? Everything cordial there for you?
The officials in the courtroom are not as friendly as what I'm used to in Kentucky.
Well, you know, you guys in Kentucky, you're a lot.
I guess
the
we're laid
Northeast.
back.
This is the Northeast. It's an attitude, man.
Oh, but our sheriff shoots the judge in their chamber.
Oh yeah, that's right. How's that case going? That's got some weird stuff going on.
Yes, I may try to catch that case live if I get a chance to go up to that one. I don't know whether you know this or not, but we have a judge that the House of Representatives impeached this week and going to trial in the Senate. Wow. So in Kentucky,
what's the underlying charge? What was he impeached for, or she impeached for?
They didn't like her rulings mostly.
Oh, okay.
That's, if you want to be honest, that's what it is, which is really some reason to impeach a judge.
Yeah, that doesn't sound all that promising. Being impeached and being convicted are two different things. So,
Mm-hmm.
and where is that on the judge shooting again? Where is that venue specifically? Is that Louisville?
No, that'd be over in the eastern part of the state, in Fletcher County, I believe it is,
Oh, okay.
or it's one of those far eastern counties. I don't know where the case will be tried. I think the defendant wants it tried at home, but I think it may end up being tried in Bowling Green. But we'll see.
Move it to a larger area, larger pool.
Well, a lot of strange rumors about what goes on in that courthouse in Eastern Kentucky.
Well, yeah, the backstory is
I don't know whether they get a fair jury that would want to convict them, because a lot of people think a brothel was run out of that court.
Yeah. I mean, it's an outrageous story if true. I'll tell you that. Hey, before you go, help me with this question. Michael, do you think the judge already has in mind what his ruling may be, or do judges wait till every piece of evidence is in? Are we talking hypothetically here, Jen and on point? Or are we talking in this case? I will answer hypothetically. You can answer what you think as somebody sitting in the courtroom. Hypothetically, he's a human. So maybe he's leaning one way or the other, but he should never let it show. His ruling should never reflect that he has done so. And you like to hope that judges will wait until every piece of evidence is in till they make up their mind, because they are the fact finder. They are the jury. So in this case, Joe, what do you think? What have you seen?
Well, when you say that, also know that some judges write their opinions while the case is going on.
True.
And just go back and put the final touches on it. I watched the judge today closer than I watched the witnesses, because I wanted to see what he thought was important when he picked up his pen and wrote. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have a leaning right now.
Yeah.
Even though he's not announcing it.
No, I agree, because that's human. That's a human thing. Then you're open to being persuaded otherwise. That's the way it works. Okay, I got to keep you here for another question. Stand by. Here we go. Thank you very much, Auntie BB2370. I have a big problem that the alien was able to know when Kelsey got home. Thought her dad changed passwords. Thoughts. So he's basically monitoring the security cameras remotely, just like anybody can from their phone for most, if they've got the system loaded up. And then, the big, he's at the cop house. That's one thing that bothered me. He stayed at the cop house after meeting Daly and getting that all orchestrated, and was like waiting for the call to come pick up the baby. So inappropriate. Anyway.
If they took the baby to the police department and gave it to him, that'd been one thing.
That would have been slightly better. I agree, slightly better. But still, he should not be involved in this until
social work party.
Of course, it's just the favoritism drives me crazy. Okay, so what do you think? Do you think that it was part of his master plan, that he was going to just monitor the video, and when she got home, he'd be basically telling the cops, "Okay, move in, move, swarm."
That I have no idea.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him. I would say, if I didn't know the things I now know, it was coincidence or it was just fortuitous. I'm not surprised. It might have been, maybe part of the master plan. I don't know.
The funniest thing was watching Justin run.
Yeah, that was justice. As a matter of fact, that was poetic justice.
That's the kind of firefighter I want rescue me from the second floor.
Scampering as fast as he can. Whoop, 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 whoop. Feet, do your duty. And why was he running so fast? So I saw somebody post on X that they were hoping it was to get to his child, but from his testimony, it was to find his sister, make sure she was okay. Okay.
I mean, what can you say?
Yep.
I don't think I felt good after today.
Yeah, I didn't learn anything that would make me be concerned about the defense case. Again, except for the basement guns. That still bugs me a little bit, and I got to hear a better explanation of that. Are you okay with that? You okay with the guns in the basement?
It's not a major problem to me.
Okay. Why? Why do you think she said that? Do you believe the
That I
Brado
don't
story?
know. I have no idea.
Okay.
But I don't think what I don't think it is. I don't think she was planning to go upstairs and kill a police officer.
Yeah.
That's why it's not that big a deal to me. If I thought she was trying to plan an execution of a police officer, that would have been different. But I clearly think it was more of an emotional breakdown, and that Daly gave it away right there in his comment. You know,
About she
I
didn't
you
want,
know,
didn't
I'm
want to live.
sorry, I don't want to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
The closest thing they could argue would be execution by cop, but
I suppose.
I don't think
but
that'd fly either.
Even their story doesn't make sense with that. You know, if that were the intent.
You want all officers in the room.
Yeah, you want to threaten all of them and basically set up your own firing squad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we'll be down there tomorrow. And how many? We can name some of the folks that aren't hiding. Britt Happens is there, right? Who else have we seen from the streaming world that has jetted in?
I didn't see Britt today. Was she there?
I heard she was. A couple other folks. Who else did you see?
Lauren was there.
Lauren, which Lauren?
The detective from Florida.
Okay, yeah, she came up from Florida.
Mm-hmm. And I think she was Lauren Katie, or I forget her last name for sure. I just always called her Lauren. And then Lori Mullins was there today, and she's been awful active in this case.
Oh yeah. In fact, I'm have to find her, and because I've seen a lot of her stuff, and I tend to agree with it. So yeah, I have to. So all you people are taking all the seats. What's going on there?
I even met a cupcake today from Emily's channel.
So this would have been a fan of Melanie Little's that popped in?
That popped in. So came up and stayed with Lauren. So,
okay. Yeah, it's quite the community, isn't it? And I'm so glad that I found you, not just today, but I mean your stuff, because I appreciate it. When you introduced yourself today, I was very excited to meet you in the flesh, and I appreciate your time tonight. I know that you don't like to talk a lot, but look what I've done. I've kept you on for like more than 30 minutes. So there you go.
Yeah, as I told you earlier, when they give you those shots in the vocal cords, I say for about 5 days I couldn't say anything.
Oh my gosh!
But it's beginning to come back now.
All right, good. We'll save it. Okay, thank you, sir. Joe, Kentucky Maverick. Appreciate the help, and we'll see you at court tomorrow.
Okay, will be.
Take care.
See you then. Bye.
Yeah. Good guy. And I know most folks who are following any of these cases in the Northeast have seen Joe's stuff, right? Okay, let me see in the few minutes that we have remaining here. First of all, make sure I haven't missed any questions. I'm sure I have. Okay. The next step will be to pull up this video and go through. I want to see if I can find. You have to bear with me as I'm queuing it up because I can't do that while I'm looking. I want to get the one I really want to see is Daly when he first mentions meeting Justin, because and the angle I see here from the camera, because the camera's further down, even with the first row almost, back row of the attorneys, but it's also way up. The reason is you can see the clerk in the foreground. He's got these two computer monitors that's pretty big. In fact, there was a problem. Kelsey couldn't see the witness because she was staring right into those, the back of those monitors. So the camera to avoid that is, jacked way up. And I can't say enough about the folks from NBC 10 getting the audio right, putting up with me, and working with everybody to make sure we get the best audio of this. I know Law and Crime, I don't know, Court TV, I get them all confused now since they're together, but Law and Crime certainly was streaming it, and maybe Maybe Court TV was as well. Okay, let me see if I can bring this up, and then if we can, we'll find just a little bit of the detective. Oh, it's me. Let me see if I can find.
30th of 2025, she was
Okay.
issued a
Let me know if
service
you
license.
guys have a problem hearing this. Can you hear this?
On June 30th?
Yeah, did she have one?
She did.
Okay. Do you know if she had any other firearms that were registered to her?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes, no, maybe.
According to the CGIS printout when we ran her prior to going over to serving it, I believe there
Good.
were two
Okay.
other
What I'm
firearms.
trying to get to here is when he
Can you
first
tell us a little
mentions
bit about
meeting.
the
Justin.
basic procedure of what a restraining order is.
Whoa,
and,
what's happening there? Where are we going?
What you do as
Whoa,
a police
earthquake.
officer when you get a copy to serve.
A 209A order is it's a court order
Whoa.
issued by a judge. If somebody's, in imminent fear of harm, their safety, or there's been a pattern of abuse or whatever, they would go in front of a judge. They write out an affidavit describing what has taken place, where they would potentially be granted an order, and they go in front of a judge, and I believe there's questions asked. I've never actually been in the courtroom when they go to get it, but that's my belief. And a judge either grants it or denies it.
So
Somebody said
on
6'7".
June
Don't say
30th,
6'7".
2025, a judge ordered a restraining order to be served on Ms. Fitzsimmons, correct?
Yes.
Did you know, how did you guys get it? How did the PD get it? Do you remember?
It comes through our email to the OIC@NAPD.us.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Comes through.
Our email system.
I like how the
through
judge just says,
courts.
I
The
didn't hear
court
that.
sends it
What
to-
was
I believe
that?
every police department's like that now.
Okay.
You use some letters through the.
OIC@NAPD.us.
I think it's
short
coming.
for officer in charge.
Officer in charge?
Yeah.
Okay.
And all the supervisors get it.
Okay. So you got it?
Yes.
Did you know that Ms. Fitzsimmons had a small child?
Yes.
Were you able to review the contents of the restraining order itself? Not the affidavit, but what the court ordered?
Yes.
Okay, so what was the court ordering?
She was to have no contact with Justin, the alien, or the child.
What?
Couldn't go to.
And
she
that
couldn't
was not
go
the first
within
time he
100
said
yards
it.
of the
I'm actually
residence
past the first
in
time he
another
said it.
town, I believe, where his parents live.
I'm hearing
She had
Justin
to
the
surrender a
alien.
firearms license to carry. Could have no contact with him.
As a result of getting that order, were you yourself going to serve?
I don't know where he gets
Yes.
that.
Were you going to bring anybody else?
Yes.
Okay, did you make a decision as to who to bring?
Yes.
Why?
Based on their experiences, the way they've performed in the past, they're both calm, cool, and collected. And they've demonstrated that throughout their careers.
Okay, and who are we
Okay.
talking about?
Enough of that bullshit. I was just most curious to see if he actually said what I thought he heard him. Okay, so okay. Question. I got a question here. Department. Why give weapon back, knowing they were serving her with custody and they feared she was going to harm someone according to the restraining order, but wouldn't give her the radio monitor? Well, the sequence of events was she had already been cleared to return to duty before the 30th, which was the date of the restraining order. So that was a few days earlier. Now, as an aside, we've talked about this, Linda Kennedy Bodden and I have talked about this. Remember, Kelsey had a complaint against the chief, okay? And it had to do with the way she was being treated. All of the women in the North Andover, all four of them in the North Andover Police Department, one time or another, had brought an action or some kind of complaint filed against the chief. And it's believed that she withdrew that complaint in exchange. This is my interpretation of what happened. A, she withdrew the complaint. Fact. B, she was put back on active duty. Fact. I'm putting the two together saying it was a quid pro quo. It was a deal. Okay. Why is that important? And why can't the defense kind of play with that? Because if that's true, then she may have still been suffering from some of the impact of the postpartum depression. She may not have truly been cleared, as it were, but as part of a deal to get her job back and to release the complaint against the chief, she was cleared. That part, total speculation on my part. Just putting together the pieces, logical deduction. I think it's an issue. But if you roll that into what happened on the day of the incident, it muddies the water for the defense, and they don't want to do that. That's my thought, though. So to answer this question, with the timing, she's cleared for whatever reason. They give her the guns back, and then it is not till a few more days that the alien presents this restraining order. The guns are already in her possession. It's not like it all happened on the same day. Okay. What did happen on that same day was she was in there taking her CPR recertification, part of her job. She's going back on the job 3 days later. And so she's in there to do that. Not only does not a word get out to her that they're going to be, oh, by the way, issuing a restraining order and taking your child from you. But one of the people in the cop shop, and she has the baby with her, and they're passing the baby around, like you do when one of your coworkers has a young child. Oh, let me have a baby. And so while all that's going on, somebody says, oh, here, we should give her her walker, give her the walkie-talkie, because she doesn't have that yet. Somebody, unclear at this point, said, no, don't worry about that. Clearly, that person knew what was about to happen. Whether they shared it with anybody else in the cop shop, who knows? The fact is, that's why she didn't get the walkie-talkie, because that person knew she wasn't going to need it, because once they took the child away, once there was this restraining order, she wasn't going to be coming back on the job. Okay, so. Well, let's see. Should I? Everybody calls him Alien. I'm not sure everybody does. I'm not sure. There were a lot of names. Boy, there's so many names for this guy. It's a little fuzzy as to where the alien first came from. But okay, let me see if I can find, just because I didn't get a great look at the guy from where I was sitting, because I'm on the other side of the bench. But I'd like to get a little better look at it, maybe listen to a couple of annoying words from the alien. Can we do that in the few minutes we got left here? Let's see if I can find that. Bear with me here as I scroll through. Oh boy, I just got to his sister. Man, that is an intense look. Whoa. And I don't mean that in a good way. That I really think she was in many ways spearheading this operation, because she is, wow. Okay, let's see. Here we go.
Bachelor's in business management.
After you graduated from...
Okay, let's see if we get past the robotics on this.
What did you do?
After UNH, I did a cross-country road trip.
I went out, man, and I just kind of hung out.
I'm just going to take the objections one at
I was
a
a
time.
therapist for kids. Oh boy.
You own firearms.
Yes, sir.
How many?
Roughly 9.
Roughly 9.
Where were
I
they
lose track.
kept in the home?
They were kept upstairs in the closet. There was a large rifle safe. Several of them were kept in there. And then I had one firearm that I would keep in our bedroom.
Sue, that is not very nice. Oh, that's not Sue. Where'd Sue go? There goes Sue. Sue, where'd you go? There you go. That's not Sue. There it is.
Directly next to the door frame, locked up.
Very intense. That is a very
So
intense
if
look the sister has.
If you walk into your home through the door, yes, front door, the stairs.
I agree.
Upstairs, fair to say, almost right in front of you.
Correct.
Okay. Now, as you walk up the stairs,
Ted Kennedy? I don't know about that.
Yes.
there's a landing and 2 rooms at the top, correct?
Yes.
The safe that you had described, the green safe, which way would you go to get to the green safe?
You would take a right into the bedroom, and then the first foot that you would step into the bedroom, it was directly on your left. On the
Grandpa's safe.
That was a bad question. What color is the safe, the rifle safe?
The rifle safe was black.
Black. Okay. I want to talk about that first. I apologize. Now,
This
that
guy's 12.
where
I
was
would
that?
never, my loan.
If you were to go up the stairs and you were on the landing, you
Harumph.
would take a left. You would go into that room right there, and then it was in
Oh,
that
that's an
closet.
interesting observation.
Got
No,
it.
I wasn't this close.
It's a
I
rifle
didn't see
safe.
the size of his
Has a lock.
pupil. Are you saying they were totally
Yes.
dilated, like he was
It
stoned?
was a key padlock.
Boy,
Do you
we
know
know he's not
if
getting
the
tested
defendant
yet,
had
but how
any,
stupid would that be?
Any firearms?
Yes.
How many?
I couldn't be exact. She just got her license to carry returned to her. I don't.
Missy,
the
I don't know how to
exact
zoom
number
in
of
on
firearms that
the
were
video
returned
while
to
it's
her.
running.
Okay. What kind were they?
Several handguns.
Jen McCabe vibes. It was even
When
more
you
different
went,
than that.
on the
Jen
29th
McCabe was
to
just fake,
retrieve your
you know,
handgun,
just
where did you go?
acting. You could tell.
I went directly
This
upstairs. I
Courtney
went into that gun
seemed
safe.
like
The
that was
rifle
just her
safe was
personality.
on the left
Ooh.
side of the landing, and I retrieved my firearms from there first.
And then you talked about a green safe.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Hey,
You walk up the landing.
AI is
you go
out
up the
there.
Stairs, the landing is there. You go to the right, which is the bedroom, correct?
Correct.
The other room, is that the one with the crib in it?
Correct.
Now, if you go right to your left, you had described on the floor, correct?
Yes.
That's close.
You
Sister
have one
reminded
gun
me
in
of
there?
Diva Deva.
Yes.
I think
Did you
Diva
see any other
Dieters.
guns in there
Don't
when
call me
you opened that?
never say
No, I
Dever.
did not.
So are we not talking about the green safe?
Yes.
Okay. Sure.
Diz, I don't know if you're going to get any pushback on that. You know, he goes in the military, so he speaks a lot. Like, you know, when he was during cross-examination, everything was, sir, no, sir, I didn't, no, sir, I did not, sir, when he's talking to Bradel. Yeah, it's like a default position if you've been in the military. Yeah, these are, you know, I'll have to take a closer look when I can zoom in on it. But the perfect example of that, Warren Jeffs, I was in the court, judge's chambers, sitting across the desk from him during the Warren Jeffs case down in southern Utah,
I'm
St.
sure you've
George.
been previously marked as
Dead eyes,
exhibit
lizards,
number 4
dead eyes.
first, okay?
Okay.
See that screen?
I do,
You
yes.
recognize what that is?
Yes.
So describe where the photo taker, the picture taker would be standing in that home.
They'd be standing on the landing as immediately as you go up to the stairs to the second floor in between the two rooms.
Okay, and that's the one on the left that we had been.
Look at this.
Yes.
The jury has come to a decision. Yes, he was baked. That is just so, how stupid is that under the circumstances? Wonder if Julie Hess also noted
Yes.
that.
You recognize what
She
that
was,
is?
if you're just joining us,
What is-
Julie and I exchanged some
That is the nursery. That's the
emails
closet
where
with my
she
clothes in it.
gave
It's
some
behind
insight
my
as to what she
clothes,
learned
the black
today.
rifle safe.
I'm not sure that was
And
part of
that
it.
is, when you're standing on the landing, that is the room to the left, and the closet in that room is where the rifle safe is.
I'm seeing
Correct.
zero emotion, fake. Oh, cross between Deaver and Jen McCabe. The evil
And I'm
son
sorry
of
if I
Deaver and
asked this
McCabe.
already. Did you see any of the defendant's guns in that rifle safe?
Yes.
How many, do you remember?
I don't remember exactly. I believe there was 2. But I
Yeah,
don't
and here's the whole gun. Nothing to see here. Did he take the
Now-
guns out? Did he take Kelsey's
Bear with me, I'm
guns
gonna
out of
take
that
it step
safe?
by step. I'm gonna show you exhibit
Because he was going to take the safe.
Recognize that.
I think you'd remember
yes,
that detail.
That is taken from the landing, going up to the second floor on the right side. That's facing our bedroom with my green safe on the floor.
Okay, so the picture taker is on the landing, correct?
Correct.
The stairs are pretty much behind them.
Directly behind.
And I'm going to show you what's been marked as exhibit number 51. And you recognize that room, first of all.
Yes, I recognize the room.
And that's the same room we were just talking about?
Yes.
The green safe is the box on the left corner of the picture?
Yes, and on the ground, that the large chest, the box, yes.
Okay, so this is the safe you were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish I see Karma Dharma mentioning that maybe Bradel could have gotten more out of him. I agree. But maybe Bradel has a plan with those texts.
When you went on the 29th and retrieved your gun out of that safe, and you didn't see any of the defendant's guns in that safe, correct?
I don't believe so, sir.
Well,
Do you
if,
remember that box being
you know,
unlocked?
if
box
the,
was not there,
what,
sir.
207, what was it?
Now I'm going to turn your attention.
207 examples of him out smoking a bowl of something. Maybe it was, Cheerios. I don't know. If that's any indication, that's a heavy use habit, addiction. And that's, with what? Stress of a normal day. What do you imagine the stress is like when he's going in to do this? Yeah, that might have been a 2-bowl breakfast. I don't know. I have no idea. I just think if that's the case and he couldn't keep himself from doing it on this day, he's got a problem. He's got a problem.
now that we're on the 29th, I'm going to turn your attention to the 30th.
Okay.
You had stated that
I'm going to
had
let
been
you. I'm going to let you off the
calling
hook.
and Texting the defendant throughout.
Oh,
that day,
zoom in
correct?
more.
Yes. Were there
See just
any
a second of the
plans
cross-examination.
attempted to be
Hold
made
on
by
here.
Retention.
Hold on.
The only priority was removing my firearms. That was secondary because it was holding my safe, and it meant a safe transport way to move that firearm out of the house in a secure manner.
And when you left Kelsey with her firearms, and you took yours, and you went back to still with your father, correct?
Yes, sir, I took my firearms.
Now, you said you were, let's get it right. You said that you work at the North Andover Fire Department, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Do you work there presently?
Yes, sir.
Are you on the schedule?
No, sir.
Why not? He opened the door.
Objection. Yeah, we know who won this battle because he got it in that he's suspended. Now, the judge, so this is what's different, judge, jury, right? The jury might get just that little nugget and it would tell them really nothing, right? Because that's in and of itself, you were suspended, you were on leave. They might think, he had a medical condition. Remember, he got discharged from the military because he hurt his ankle jumping out of a tree. I don't know, something. Anyway, obviously something that doesn't bother you if you got to be a fireman because you're never running and carrying heavy things. You don't have to rely on your ankles or feet. So that's all they would hear is that, somehow he's got some issues not there. But the judge knows the whole story. So the judge has to, in his brain, dissect what he knows from what is technically admissible evidence. Good luck. That's very hard to do. Very hard. Superhuman, in my opinion. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining today at Courthouse. We'll do it again tomorrow morning. I'll try and do a little setup. If I learn a little something from the parties before we go in, I'll break at lunch, a little update, quick post, and then 6 o'clock tomorrow night, Ashley Wilcott, the judge. Here comes the judge tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. And she has great insight into, if you didn't see our episode with her, check it out. She has great insight because she's been a judge in juvenile court and kid issues and custody issues. And so we'll get her take on what's happened so far and what happens tomorrow. So right here on Justice Served TV. And then Linda Kinney Bodden, busy doing God's work in federal court tomorrow. She should be back Wednesday. We could have this thing wrapped up Wednesday. The way things are flying, if the prosecution, we heard from Tim Bradle at the end of the day today, we were doing that live, so I don't know if you caught it, but he thought the prosecution was going to wrap up tomorrow. So Noonan's going to take a while, maybe another couple of witnesses. Then you've got, obviously, Kelsey's going to be chief defense witness. And then, who knows, you're doing closing arguments and you're twiddling your thumbs, waiting for the judge to deliberate. So Wednesday could be the day. All right, have a great evening. I'm Michael Bryant. This is Justice Served TV, and please try to do the right thing.